In the bustling Nigerian city of Enugu, Dr. Obi and his wife, Chioma, were the epitome of success and happiness. Their story was one of love, mutual respect, and a shared passion for medicine. Together, they worked at one of the city's most prestigious hospitals, where Obi was a revered physician and Chioma a dedicated nurse. Their colleagues admired their partnership, both in their professional lives and at home. But as with many seemingly perfect stories, darkness loomed beneath the surface. For years, Obi and Chioma had longed for a child. They had everything: a beautiful home, successful careers, and the love of their community, but the absence of a child left a void that neither could ignore. They prayed fervently, visited fertility specialists, and tried every possible remedy, both traditional and modern. Just when they began to lose hope, Chioma discovered she was pregnant. The news brought immense joy to their household, and for a brief moment, it seemed as though their lives were complete. But as the pregnancy progressed, complications arose. Chioma began experiencing severe pains, dizziness, and shortness of breath. After a series of tests, the doctors revealed that she had a high-risk pregnancy due to an underlying heart condition that had previously gone undetected. The news was a heavy blow, shattering the couple's joy and replacing it with anxiety and fear. As Chioma's health deteriorated, she began to notice changes in herself. The once radiant woman she had been now felt frail and unattractive. The glow of her skin faded, her face grew paler, and the weight of constant worry and illness began to show. Every time she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror, she couldn't help but feel that the beauty Obi had once adored was slipping away. Dr. Obi, ever the devoted husband, reassured Chioma that they would get through this together. He promised to do everything in his power to protect both her and their unborn child. To ensure Chioma received the best care, Obi turned to his colleague and close friend, Dr. Amina, one of the most skilled obstetricians at the hospital. Together, they devised a meticulous plan to navigate the pregnancy and ensure the safe delivery of the baby. As Obi and Dr. Amina worked closely together, their collaboration became more intense. They spent countless hours reviewing Chioma's medical history, consulting with specialists, and preparing for the complex surgery that would likely be necessary to deliver the baby. Obi, overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation, found solace in Dr. Amina's expertise and calm demeanor. She became not just a colleague but a confidant, someone who understood the depth of his fears and the weight of his responsibilities. Chioma noticed the increasing amount of time Obi and Dr. Amina were spending together. Initially, she understood the necessity of their collaboration. After all, it was her life and the life of their baby at stake. But as the days turned into weeks, her understanding began to waver. The way Obi and Dr. Amina spoke in hushed tones, their serious expressions, and the comforting touches that passed between them, it all began to gnaw at Chioma's mind. Her insecurities, once dormant, started to surface. She began to feel that Obi no longer saw her as the beautiful woman he had fallen in love with. The illness had taken its toll on her, and she feared that Obi was noticing the change too. Each time she saw him with Dr. Amina, who was healthy, confident, and still in her prime, the pangs of jealousy grew stronger. She began to worry that Obi would eventually leave her for someone younger, healthier, and more vibrant. One day, while waiting for an appointment, Chioma overheard a conversation between two nurses. They were whispering about how close Dr. Amina and Obi had become, speculating that there might be more to their relationship than just professional collaboration. "They're always together," one nurse said, "and the way they look at each other. I wouldn't be surprised if something was going on." Chioma's heart sank. The poisonous seed of jealousy that had been planted in her mind began to grow, feeding on the gossip she had just heard. Chioma's fears and insecurities deepened. She convinced herself that Obi no longer found her attractive, that his feelings for her had diminished because of her illness. The thought of losing him, of him choosing someone else, someone like Dr. Amina, consumed her. Her mind became a battlefield, torn between trusting her husband and succumbing to the poisonous thoughts that had taken root. That evening, Chioma confronted Obi. "What's going on between you and Dr. Amina?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. Obi was taken aback by the accusation. He assured her that there was nothing between him and Dr. Amina, that their only concern was ensuring the safe delivery of their baby. But Chioma couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Her mind was clouded by jealousy, and every word Obi spoke felt like a lie. Over the next few weeks, Chioma became more withdrawn. She stopped attending her prenatal appointments with Obi and began to distance herself from him emotionally. The once loving couple now lived in a tense, silent home, their conversations limited to the bare necessities. Chioma's health began to deteriorate further, as the stress of her suspicions took a toll on her already fragile condition. Desperate and convinced that she was about to lose her husband, Chioma decided to take matters into her own hands. Blinded by her emotions, she began to gather what she believed was evidence of Obi and Dr. Amina's affair. She noted the times they spent together, the way they looked at each other, and the comforting touches she had observed. In her mind, she twisted their professional collaboration into something sinister, creating a story that painted them as unprofessional and unethical. One evening, Chioma anonymously submitted a report to the hospital's administration. The report was filled with fabricated evidence of an alleged affair between Obi and Dr. Amina. She claimed that their relationship was compromising patient care and putting lives at risk. Given the gravity of the accusations and the fact that they came from within the hospital, the administration had no choice but to launch an investigation. When Obi and Dr. Amina were called into a meeting with the hospital board, they were blindsided by the allegations. The board, unable to ignore the growing rumors and the so-called evidence, decided to suspend both of their licenses pending a full investigation. It was a devastating blow to their careers and reputations. Obi was in shock. He couldn't believe that after years of dedicated service, he was now being treated as a pariah. Dr. Amina, devastated by the scandal, decided to leave the city in disgrace, her promising career in ruins. The news spread like wildfire. Patients stopped coming to Obi's clinic, and his colleagues began to distance themselves. The once respected doctor was now the subject of vicious gossip and scrutiny. Even friends who had once admired him turned their backs, unwilling to be associated with someone involved in such a scandal. The stress of the scandal and the ongoing investigation took a heavy toll on Chioma's health. Her pregnancy complications worsened, and despite Obi's efforts to care for her, their baby was lost during an emergency surgery. Chioma's world came crashing down. The guilt of what she had done weighed heavily on her, crushing her spirit. She had wanted to protect her marriage, but in the end, she had destroyed everything she loved. Obi, now heartbroken and filled with anger, couldn't bear to stay with Chioma. The loss of their child and the betrayal of the woman he loved were too much for him to endure. He left her, moving to another city to start anew. The couple who had once been the envy of everyone now found themselves torn apart by jealousy, mistrust, and tragedy. Years passed, and life continued to move forward. Obi eventually remarried. His new wife, Adis, was a kind and gentle woman who brought warmth and joy back into his life. Together, they had a son, and for the first time in a long while, Obi felt a sense of peace and happiness. He threw himself into his work at a new hospital, slowly rebuilding his career and reputation. The scandal that had once threatened to destroy him faded into a distant memory, replaced by the contentment of his new life. But Chioma could not move on. The guilt of her actions haunted her day and night. She had destroyed her marriage, lost her child, and ruined the career of an innocent woman. She couldn't remarry, couldn't find solace in anything. The vibrant woman she once was had been reduced to a shadow, living in isolation and consumed by regret. For the next 10 years, Chioma wrote letters to Obi, begging for his forgiveness. Each letter was filled with remorse and sorrow. As she poured out her heart, explaining how her fear and jealousy had driven her to do what she did. She wished she could turn back time, undo the damage, and save the life of the child they had lost. But each letter went unanswered, leaving Chioma to wonder if she would ever find redemption. In the meantime, Obi's life flourished. His new family brought him joy, and his career continued to rise. Addis and their son were his anchors, helping him heal from the wounds of the past. But despite his new life, the memory of Chioma's betrayal lingered in the back of his mind, a reminder of a time when his world had been torn apart. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe, like and comment.